Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest. Time for a Magellan Financial Group update. And a couple of reasons I want to do this update, and the main reason is because we can learn a lot about what's been happening with this fund manager, this company, this stock, over the past 12 years. Between 2009 and 2020, or just before the COVID-19 financial panic, this company was the talk of the town. It was a darling of the market. Share price was in a well-defined uptrend, and it was a significant wealth winner for any shareholders who had held during that 10-year period. You're able to see that in the next slide. But all good things come to an end. And being able to read the market and read any signals the market is giving us in terms of shifts in sentiment, shifts in the trend of a share price, can be quite important to keeping hold of our capital and not losing a lot of the capital gains we have seen if we held a company during the good times. And that's probably true for a lot of shareholders right now with Magellan Financial Group. They would have seen a lot of good times for that 11-year period. But recently, we have seen the share price take a massive hit. In fact, it's fallen 60% in the past 4 months. Were there any catalysts to tell us that this would have been a sell? And would we have listened to those catalysts? That's a different thing. But in my opinion, the main thing I have learned from Magellan Financial Group and other companies like it is you have to listen to the market, because the market is trying to tell us something. And the other main thing I've taken is, even if you really like a company, if the share price is in a well-defined downtrend, why are we holding shares in that company? Because the share price could keep on going lower for an extended period of time. So I am thinking of adjusting my investing strategy to be only holding companies whose share price is in an uptrend. Even those companies that I do like for the long term, if their share price is in a downtrend, maybe I should not be holding them until the share price moves into an uptrend and there's a shift in sentiment. So before we look at what's been causing, or what has caused, this 60% decrease in Magellan share price in the past 4 months, I want to go back in time and look at that period between 2009 and 2020, when this company or this fund or this stock was a massive wealth winner for shareholders. Back in 2009, 2010, around that period of time, I went into the Whirlpool forums, and there was a question from someone, I'm not even sure what forum this was in regards to putting the money into the stock market. And the feedback they were given was generally negative. You're going to lose all your money, it's too risky, that sort of thing. And in hindsight, of course, it was probably one of the best times to invest in the stock market. A lot of companies back then were so cheap, but there was so much fear among investors that they might lose all their money. And the old saying is, be greedy when everyone's fearful. And that's definitely true back in 2009 and 2010. In fact, Magellan Financial Group share price got as low as 33 cents during the depths of the GFC in March 2009. And then the share price moved into a well-defined uptrend that continued for the next 11 years and lasted to February 2020, when the share price reached a top of $75. That means over an 11-year period, the share price increased 22,627%. If you calculate the annual return just in the share price, and this does not include dividends, that is a 64% increase in the share price per year. That is a significant return if you're holding this company during that period. But just because the share price of a company is in a well-defined uptrend, just because there is positive sentiment behind the company, doesn't mean that it's going to last for the long term. And if we can understand what can shift the sentiment in a company, we will be able to protect our capital if we are holding a company like Magellan over an 11-year period. And that's very important, because the share price of Magellan Financial Group has dropped over 60% in the last 4 months. And if we are able to protect our capital from the gains we have received, that is one of the most important things we can do. So I do believe when you do see the share price of a company you've been holding for a long term move into a downtrend, if you do see the sentiment shift, that could be a good time to take your profits. In this slide, we're looking at a period between about January 2020 and August the 17th, 2021, and that date has been chosen for a reason, because the share price decreased 10% on the day on massive volume. It was actually the day they released their full year results. But if we go back to February 2020, when the share price of Magellan reached its all-time high at $75, still a lot of positive sentiment behind this company. Trend of the share price was up. And then COVID-19 financial panic hit, and the share price of Magellan fell from $75 to $30. Now, the share price decreased not because of anything wrong with the business, just overall negative sentiment in the market. And just like many other companies in the world, there was a V-shaped recovery in Magellan's share price from March 23rd, 2020. But the share price did not recover to pre-COVID levels. In fact, the share price only got to a high of $66 in August of 2020. And then the share price just went sideways and really did nothing over the next year or so. There were periods of time when it looked like share price was moving into a downtrend or even an uptrend in May, June of this year, but there was no catalyst behind the shifts in sentiment during those periods. But there was a definite shift in sentiment, or a catalyst to the shift in sentiment on August the 17th. And again, that was the full year results. So whenever I see the market react like it did on August 17, you have to become wary, and that is a definite potential sell signal if you're holding these companies' shares. One of the things I really like to do in situations like this, when Magellan's share price or a company like it falls by a significant amount in one day, is to read the reaction from hot copper posts. This is my favorite thing to do. I very rarely post on hot copper, but I do want to see how the market is reacting. And retail investors in one part of the market. But usually you will see recency bias play a massive part. When retail investors see the share price drop 10% in one day, like Magellan did, they think, well, the share price is cheap, or this company is cheap now because it was significantly higher a few days earlier. Now it's 10% cheaper. I'm going to go all in. The way I look at it is there's new information out there, and the market is reacting to that information. And there is a reason why the share price dropped 10% in one day. And that leads or means there is a greater possibility that the share price will fall further, because this, instead of it being a breakout to the upside, it's a breakout to the downside. And in those sort of situations, there is a greater chance the share price will continue to fall because sentiment has shifted and the share price has moved into a downtrend. So let's have a look at some of the reaction from retail investors in regarding to this news. One post said, bought back in today, have been waiting to enter for a while, such a unique quality business with great management, looking forward to topping up if it falls any lower. I wonder if this poster thinks if the management is great right now, because the share price has fallen from the time they bought at $46.27 to less than $20. Another poster said, I feel like a lot of people are lining up at the $40 mark. I entered at $44.50 and will double down if it does break $40. Good business, good financial health, not overvalued like crazy compared to its peers, with some nice growth in dividends and equity on the horizon. And another poster said, agree, this is not going to $33 anyway. No way it's going to get to $33 unless there is an almighty market correction. Well, it's gone way lower than $33 and there hasn't been an almighty market correction. Operating expenses associated with Barrenjoey and funds restructuring are short-term hits. This will stabilise in a day or so, and then it'll be up to the team to win back confidence. Now, not all commentary was positive. There were some insightful comments. For instance, there was a post that stated, the chart for MFG shows a clear downtrend. Absolutely true. And almost certainly it will go a bit lower and maybe to sharp support level at $30 in worst case scenario, sadly. That's absolutely true. In fact, $30, and the reason this poster mentioned $30, that was the low during the GFC. And that was a potential buying price for me personally. If the share price of Magellan held $30, that would be good time to take a position. But it actually fell through $30. And we'll see the share price of Magellan falling through $30 about 3 or 4 days before they released this really bad news that saw the share price drop 33% in one day. This is the updated Magellan Financial Group chart up until December 17, the trading day before they released that negative news that saw the share price drop 33%. This includes August the 17, where we saw the share price decrease 10%, and all those posters thought this was a great time to buy because the share price was 10% lower than a few days previously. Was it a good time to buy? No. This was a catalyst for re-rating in the share price of Magellan and the move of the share price into a well-defined downtrend. And right now, in my belief, it is not wise, not a good thing to be holding a company's shares if it's in a downtrend. And the share price on that one day moved from $51 to about $46.50. But it kept on decreasing over the next 2 months. In fact, the share price fell from $46.50 to $31.50 over that 2-month period. Share price got close to that $30 support level. Remember, that was the lows during the GFC. And we did see a bit of a bounce, but that bounce was on low volume. So whenever you see a bounce on low volume, it's not powerful enough to re-rate the share price upwards. And then we saw the share price just trickle down lower and lower. And then a few weeks ago, share price fell below $30 on massive volume. That's very important as well. So there would have been a lot of people who knew that $30 was a good support level. And as soon as it fell through $30, you saw a lot of selling. And that's why you saw massive volume on that day. And the share price moved through $30. Now, the next day, there was a little bit of buying because there would be a lot of value investors who saw the share price go below $30, who saw great value. So they tried to push the share price up. But the bears won the next day, again on high volume. They saw the share price reach $30, and that was the time, if they haven't sold the day before, to sell out. And that was a break in that $30 support. There was no reason to take a position. And I was thinking of taking a position if $30 held, but it broke, and that $30 level became resistance. And then December 20 happened, so let's have a look at that. On December 17, Magellan was notified by St. James Place that it had terminated its mandate with Magellan. And Magellan revealed this information to the market on December 20. There were also some impacts within the announcement. And the market absolutely hated this news. And that's why share price fell 33% in the one day. And funnily enough, I had a colleague at work who actually mentioned Magellan Financial Group, even though this person is not an investor. So this news was widespread, not only in the investing community, but widespread in the whole community at large. Because if you knew about this news from Magellan, I think a lot of other people knew. And I think this reinforced that negative sentiment behind this company. This reinforced the downtrend in the share price. This is the updated chart for Magellan Financial Group up until the end of closing on December 22. Share price finished at $19.93. This is a classic example of a company share price in a well-defined downtrend, particularly over the past 4 months from that catalyst on August the 17th, where share price fell 10%. And there was all those retail investors who thought it was a great time to buy some shares. The troubling thing over the last few days is I did think there was going to be a bounce, because usually when you see the share price of a company fall 33%, people get excited. They think, well, it's 33% cheaper than it was a few days before. I'm going to buy some shares in this company. And we didn't really see any bounce with this company's share price. In fact, it struggled to stay above 20, and it's stayed near the low we saw on December 20, which was about $19.50. So I do think there is possibility the share price will fall significantly further from here. Now, there will be some value investors out there who see this as an opportunity to take a position of a quality company for good value, and that's fair enough. If you do the work on this company, do a lot of research, and $20 is a screaming buy for you, take a position. Go against the market. But for me, and simply because I haven't done a lot of research on this company, I'm listening to the market when it comes to Magellan Financial Group. And the market is highly negative in regards to this company. The sentiment is highly negative. the trend is down, and we don't know how low the share price can go from here. It could go to $15, it could go to $10, it could go below $10. We don't know how far the share price can go. There would have been a lot of retail investors back in August 17 who saw the share price go from $50 to $45, who thought, and we saw that in one comment, there's no way this could go below $33. Right now it's at $19.93, and we don't know the future. There could be further bad news from this company. Maybe they're going to lose other mandates. Maybe they're going to lose funds under management from here on in. We just don't know. So the best thing to do is just keep a close, this is my opinion, and this is what I'll do, keep a close eye on what the share price does. And if we do see the share price consolidate for a period of time, that would be good for the share price and future possible share price action in about a year, 2 years' time. And if we do see some good financial news from this company, maybe that will trigger a new uptrend in the share price. But up until then, there's a lot of risk holding this company's shares right now because the downside is fairly large from here. We just don't know how low the share price can go. I'll say that again. And there is that saying, don't catch a falling knife. And at this point in time, that falling knife is still falling towards the ground. We don't know where that ground is at this point in time. And that's it for this video on Magellan Financial Group, looking at the share price decreasing 60% in 4 months. The biggest takeaway I have received or gotten from Magellan Financial Group and other companies whose share price has been in well-defined downtrends over the past few years, like Appen, A2 Milk, Kogan's in a pretty much well-defined downtrend, is even if you like the long-term future of a company, maybe if the share price is in a downtrend, don't hold a position. You don't have to be holding a company's shares even if you like it for the long term. Just wait for that negative sentiment, that downtrend to come to a completion. And then when it comes out of that downtrend, that's when you take a position. So I might actually rejig my investing strategies. And that's the main thing I have learned over the past 2 years is if you do hold a company's shares who are in a long-term downtrend, your capital can take a fair bit of a hit from that. So that's the one thing I have taken from Magellan Financial Group and other companies. If you've learned anything, I'd love to hear about it. And if you do have an opinion on Magellan Financial Group, if you're a holder and you are holding for the long term, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave it in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. See you later. Bye.